Could a 44-year-old multimillionaire CEO with a 12-bedroom mansion, a fleet of luxury cars, and a company operating across 5 states, could he fall in love with his own 25-year-old pregnant maid? It sounds like the plot of a movie, right? But the story I am about to tell you today is a reality check that will completely shatter every preconceived notion you have. This isn't just a story about money and power. This is the story of a woman who forced one of the most powerful men in the world to his knees without uttering a single word. Watch this video until the very end, because the twist waiting for you will be something you couldn't expect in your wildest dreams. My name is Kale Mendonza. I am the CEO of a logistics empire. My bank accounts multiply every single day. From the outside, my life looks like a perfect dream. But the reality? The reality was that I was completely dead inside. 3 years ago, I lost my wife. And after that, my life became nothing but a timeline, from one meeting to the next, one bus Alira's trip to another. I wasn't living. I was just surviving inside my expensive suits. That grand 12-bedroom mansion of mine, it had become like a graveyard. The head housekeeper of my home, Donna Teresa, hired a new maid. Her name was Alira, a 25-year-old girl, quiet, hardworking, and keeping strictly to herself. To me, she was just another employee. But little did I know that this ordinary girl was about to challenge my entire existence. I first saw her cleaning the floor of my main lounge. The care and self-respect with which she was doing her job stopped me in my tracks. She was moving, shrinking herself down, almost as if she were apologizing to the world for taking up space. This was the exact same behavior my wife displayed in the final days of her illness. My heart stopped right there. But the real shock, that was still yet to come. One morning, I went down to the kitchen earlier than usual. Alira was there alone. She was gripping the sink tightly, trembling in pain. She was enduring an agony that was clearly slipping out of her control. When she suddenly turned to face me, the part beneath her white apron, which she had been trying to hide for months, became obvious. Alira was pregnant. 4 months pregnant. Now, you might be wondering what a strict CEO would do. Go by the rules? Fire her? But this is where the story takes a turn that blew my own mind. I asked her, "Are you okay?" She tried to give me that typical professional answer, but I stopped her. I didn't ask about the work, Alira. I asked about you. For the first time, she looked me right in the eyes. That 25-year-old girl, without an ounce of fear, without begging for an ounce of pity, told me her story in plain words. I am pregnant. For months, the father ran away the moment he found out. I live in a cheap rented room, and this cleaning job is my last hope. Just imagine the scene. A pregnant woman, with no money, no family, scrubbing the floors of my mansion. And yet, there was not a single % of self-pity in her eyes. In that moment, something broke inside me. I didn't feel pity for her. Pity is for the weak. I saw a strength in Alira that shook me to my core. I hadn't planned on changing my life, but from the very next day, the games began. I started waking up earlier than my usual routine, just to see her in the kitchen. I began leaving a bowl of fresh fruits on the kitchen counter, without any note. I ordered Donna Teresa that, from today onwards, a proper, healthy lunch would be prepared for the entire staff. Donna Teresa, who had been with me for 20 years, gave me a strange look and said, "Finally, you've become human." Alira was now 5 months pregnant. Seeing her lift heavy buckets and bend over the cold marble drove me crazy. I called her into my library. "From tomorrow, you will not clean the floors," I told her directly. "You will manage the library. No heavy lifting." She looked at me as if I were setting a new trap for her. All her life, men had only taken advantage of her. She challenged me straight to my face. I was hired to clean. I do not want any special treatment for my condition. I fired back. "This isn't special treatment, Alira. This is basic human decency. If any other woman were in this condition, I would do the exact same thing." She yielded and left. But the real war was just about to begin. The moment she stepped into the library, Alira completely transformed my system. She wasn't just arranging the books. She was reading them. There was a hunger inside that girl that no degree could ever satisfy. But then came a night that broke all the rules between us. There was a violent rainstorm outside. After her shift, Alira was walking toward the bus stop, a 6-block journey. In the pouring rain, 6 months pregnant. I followed her in my car. I pulled up beside her and said, "Get in." She tried to refuse, but I shut her down. This isn't a romantic gesture. It's common sense. She got in the car. The silence was so heavy it was hard to breathe. We reached her building. A dark, unsafe, broken-down building. I couldn't control myself anymore. Just as she was about to step out of the car, I finally said what I had been suppressing for months. "Alira, I have fallen in love with you, not with the maid, but with the woman who brought a reality into my life that made me feel alive again." Now, in any typical story, this is where the heroine breaks down crying and hugs the hero, right? Wrong. Alira turned around. There was no romance in her eyes, only a deeply rooted pain. Looking right at me, she said words that hit my chest like a bullet. "You are my boss. I am pregnant with another man's child. What you are feeling isn't love. It's pity, and I don't need a savior. I just need respect." She shut the door and walked away into the rain, leaving me right there, alone and completely shattered. She was exactly right. Pity and love look exactly the same from the outside. But how could I explain that to her with words? Words were exactly what every man in her life had given her before abandoning her. What is the greatest skill of a successful CEO? Action. I didn't step back. I changed the game. I decided that I wouldn't say a single word. I would change her entire world through my actions. The very next day, I called my HR director. "Starting today, all domestic staff in the mansion will receive our elite corporate health insurance. Top doctors, full maternity coverage." I didn't just single out Alira. I applied it to everyone so it wouldn't look like a favor, but a rightful benefit. Twist number 2, I forced the company's CSR department to design a scholarship to help uneducated staff resume their studies. Alira applied for it, and her night classes began. Twist number 3, that dangerous apartment of hers. Through my company's foundation, I funded a municipal housing project, and using an emergency VIP quota, I got Alira a completely secure brand new apartment. My name wasn't on anything. No debts, no favors. But Dona Teresa understood everything. She caught me alone and said, "You did this for everyone, but only because of one person." I remained silent. Days passed. Alira realized that these weren't illusions. This was real. And reality terrified her the most, because real things don't just leave. Then suddenly one night, my phone rang. It was 11:15 p.m. It was Dona Teresa. "Mr. Ko, Alira is having contractions. She is all alone." I dropped the phone. Within 15 minutes, I was at the door of her new apartment. When the door opened, Alira was on the floor, writhing in pain. I sat down on the floor right beside her. I took her pain into my hands, breathed with her. I called the doctor, only to find out it was false labor, brought on by pure exhaustion. When she stabilized, I told her strictly, "You are not staying here alone in this condition anymore. You are moving into the guest room of my mansion." She tried to resist, but seeing the desperation in my eyes, she finally surrendered. But she had one condition. "Nothing will change between us." I promised. "I will not cross my limits." She moved into the mansion, and suddenly, my dead house came back to life. We became a strange makeshift family. I, a 44-year-old CEO, would burn coffee in the kitchen, and she, with her 8-month pregnant belly, would laugh at me. One night, we were out on the balcony. She suddenly asked me, "You said you were in love with me." I said it was pity. She paused. I was wrong. People who show pity remind you of their favors and leave. You stayed without asking for anything. No man in my life has ever done that. She looked at me and said just one word, "Stay." And then came the day that completely defined my life. At 3 in the morning, she went into real labor. I rushed her to the hospital. In the delivery room, the doctors tried to kick me out. "Only family allowed," they said. But Alira grabbed the doctor's hand and screamed, "EIS family." I stood right by her side. The reality of a delivery room isn't like the movies. It's brutal, it's bloody, it's exhausting. Alira gripped my hand so hard that my bones ached. But it was the most beautiful pain of my life. At 6:42 a.m., the cry of a baby girl filled the entire room. When the nurse placed that baby on Alira's chest, Alira broke down crying. Then she looked at me. There were tears in her eyes. She reached out, offering that tiny life toward me. Hold her, she said. The moment I took that baby into my arms, she stopped crying. In that single second, every ounce of resistance inside that practical cold, calculating 44-year-old CEO completely vanished. I looked at Alira, my voice shaking. She isn't my daughter. But if you allow me, I want to be your father. Alira took a deep breath and said, I will not allow you. My heart stopped for a second. I will request you to. The baby was named Aurora. The dawn, a new morning. Time fast-forwarded. I would wake up at 3 a.m. to bottle feed Aurora, an elite CEO, changing diapers and telling stories in boardroom meetings about a barefoot baby running around the house. Alira completed her studies, and one day at the registration office, I successfully and officially adopted Aurora. She was legally my daughter, Aurora Mendoza. But the most emotional moment of this entire story was the final scene. One night, Alira and I were having dinner in the exact same kitchen where we first met. Aurora was sleeping in her high chair between us. Suddenly, Alira's eyes fell on the kitchen wall. I had framed something and hung it there. It was Alira's old, washed, blue maid's apron, and beneath that frame, on a gold plate, it read, "The uniform that walked into this house worn by a maid and became a symbol that true love does not look at your status. It only looks into your eyes." Alira looked at me. There were tears in her eyes. "You framed my apron? Why?" I smiled and replied, "Because by wearing this apron, you taught me that you can have all the money in the world, but if you don't have anyone to share that kitchen with, you have nothing. So let me ask you this. Do you think that in today's materialistic world, where relationships are built merely on bank balances and status, a true love story like this exists? Has anyone around you ever loved truly, without caring about status? Let me know in the comments below. If this story touched your heart even a little bit, share this video with those friends who think true love is dead. Subscribe and hit the bell icon, because I will keep bringing you mind-blowing and real stories like this every single week. See you in the next video.